Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of our slash entitled people. In today's episode, parents and kids still not respecting vintage slash classic vehicles. Too tired to work here? Really? Perfect stranger bumping into me on purpose. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Parents and kids still not respecting vintage slash classic vehicles. Short recap what happened last time. Parked classic tractor at public event we were invited to, and before most of us had gotten off the seat, a mom already put her child on my tractor seat and let it kick on my brand new dashboard, then got mad I told them not to. Anyway, this year we were invited once again to the same event, this time with more room for us, and as this could become an annual thing for our club, a few more tractors. Reminded of last year's occurrence with entitled parents that think our classic show tractors are toys and playgrounds for their kids, I thought about what I could do. I ended up with the idea of tying a bright, red piece of rope from the steering wheel across the entering point to the rear fender, so you basically need to crawl under it to get on. We hadn't even been there for 10 minutes, and we already had kids climb up on all the tractors, including mine, turning the steering wheel and moving switches. Obviously, I told them nicely to please get off the tractor, and they did, though I also did hear a crack that I had no idea where it came from. While I was tying up a second bright red rope on the not exactly easily accessible side that I can only assume they climbed up on, a passerby asked for my attention. He showed me a piece of plastic on the ground. Turns out when I sent that kid off my tractor, another one on my dad's tractor right next to mine probably got scared, climbed off, and broke the entire right indicator light off. And instead of telling anyone, just walked away. I ended up finding some leftover pieces of rope from a tent in my trailer and blocked off both of our tractors. But the damage was already done. I drove back home with no indicator as someone turned my indicator switch loose and I had no way of fixing it. But my dad also wasn't too lucky, considering not only his indicator light cap broke, but the bulb was also gone. I want to clarify, I'm not against letting the kids on our tractors, neither of us do. We all show them off for a reason, primarily the kids. The problem is when the parents are either careless or not around, and the kids start being rough with some 60-plus-year-old parts, breaking them, and just running off. I personally have no problem letting them sit on mine. If they ask, I will gladly let them. But I find it unbelievable how reckless, careless, and without respect some parents are. Because often, they are around and know. I think this is pure entitlement. They are old, so it's fine. I heard some parents say. Put out signs that say they're responsible for any damages and that they're on camera. You don't actually have to do that though. Watch how fast those parents get their little darlings down when they find out they're financially responsible for the damages to the antique slash classic vehicle. Can put up dummy cameras. With everything being wireless these days, no one would notice the difference. I would tell them that I am old too, but if you try to climb on me, I will punch you in the nose, so stay off unless you ask me. I was taken to car shows as a kid. Even if a car let PPL sit inside it, I was told by my dad I was to not sit or touch any of the show cars. If he learned I even left a fingerprint on someone's car, he'd scold me, punish me, and then offer me cleaning the entire car to the person who owned it. God forbid if I ever broke something, I'd probably be murdered. I was 8 to 11. I had to go because they was weekends my dad had me, and I couldn't say no. I didn't want to see my dad the 2 to 3 weekends a month he had me, and he wanted to go and taken off work for them since they typically involved driving an hour out of town. Too tired to work here? Really? Me, chronically depressed and generally average. Back in the saddle with a fairly recent story regarding an irritated guest. So it was a fairly busy day, and I was working hard to check people in and doing my best to be generally pleasant. A lady walked up, and I could tell she was in a bad mood and didn't want to deal with me. Having a hyperactive child with you might have had to do with it. Regardless, I had a job to do so. Here we go.
Hello, Mom.
How can I assist you today? Check me in. Okay, just don't talk and check her in. Got it. All right, can I get your credit card and ID? While she's fishing out her cards from the purse that is typically another entrance to the Cave of Wonders, another guest approaches the front desk from the side. I turn to look at him. He holds out a key card with a sheepish smile. Hey man, my card stopped opening my door. Do you mind recharging it? Before I could even open my mouth to reply, the lady snaps her head to glare at him. He's checking me in. Get off to the back of the line and wait your turn. Both me, everyone in the line, and the guest give her a baffled stare. I just need a key recharged because my service dog is in the room, he said, trying to explain. I need to get back in soon. Well, I have a kid, so get off. Okay, now I have to step into the growing storm. Damn me and my sense of duty, which is about my only redeeming quality. Ma'am, please don't use that language with our guests. I interject firmly. Shut up and do your job. I don't need you to tell me how to act, you addict. She scoffs haughtily. What? Whispers immediately go down the line, and several people are glaring at her with growing anger. My eyes narrow, but I persevere through the irritation creeping up and get her in so I don't have to deal with her for any longer than strictly necessary. She leaves, and the guy behind her in the line offers the guy who needs his key charged his spot. We both smile at him, and the guy gets his keys done and nods at me before leaving. I finish one check-in, and halfway through the next check-in, she storms back to the front desk, cutting in with no preamble. That isn't the king suite I wanted, she howls. FYI, she didn't book the suite and was not a member I could upgrade. The guy I was helping rubs his forehead, and I want to join him when I tell her that I need her to wait at the back of the line before I can help her, as I have to check in the people who have been patiently waiting for me to finish her check-in before. Several people agreed, but she begins to demand that I call the manager. So I multitask the check-in and call him to the front desk while I am at it. He arrives at the front desk, and I direct him to speak with the irate guest. The moment he asks what seems to be the issue, she begins a massive rant. That front desk agent is obvious on drugs and can't do his job properly. He is also way too tired to be working. Why did you even hire a drug addict like him to be here at all? He obviously can't even read the type of room properly because he didn't assign me a suite, but a regular king room. You should fire him if you have any good sense. I have a child, and I don't need shitty service like that if I can go 2 miles up the street and get 10 times better service for $10 more. Paraphrasing, of course, I don't need to type out the whole rant that was this with several variations. Me and the guests are all staring at her, and I absently wish I had some popcorn to snack on. My GM quietly waits for her to finish and nods. If that is the case, ma'am, then I strongly encourage you to do just that. The entire lobby is silent, and the Karen is baffled. She huffs, goes upstairs to get her stuff and grab her kids, and storms out of the property after canceling her reservation. My GM pats me on the shoulder, tells me not to mind that, and apologizes for the guest in line for the commotion. The guy who'd been in line nods to me and says, I think you handled that as best you could. I would have lost my temper. I have a child. Congratulations, you've decided to follow the life script that so many other people have followed in the past until now, but that didn't give them the right to be judgmental shit-caked boots, and it sure as butt fudge doesn't give you the right to do so now. So stuff your privilege up your ass, you dried up, herniated ulcer receptacle. So I might lose my temper like that customer in line too. I can see and read that. Remember this the next time you hear the rant of, I am a mother, or the variation of, I have a child. Yes, you have a child. which puts you in with over 150 million other people in this country who have a child, which obviously does not make you special. Or if you would rather, pumping out a kid like a Pez dispenser does not make you special as far as I can tell. In my state, you can kick people out for swearing, and when I tell them that, they get such a shocked look on their faces. They may be renting a room in a hotel/motel, but they do not own it. Sick that people act that way. Perfect stranger bumping into me on purpose. This morning I was at my local grocery store. It's a town-wide smaller grocery store that has some gourmet items, so it's not a typical bigger store. They also have prepared foods and meals. I was on the phone with my dad to see if he wants anything, and suddenly I feel a man shoving into my back several times. I was confused and disturbed. It might not sound like a big deal, but it wasn't brushing by somebody. This was feeling intentional. The man did not say excuse me to get by. There was more than enough room to go past me. Intentionally, he was touching me, or bumping into me rather. He did it several times in a row. I turned around very confused, and he was already walking away. I was kind of in shock, so I didn't know what to say. I heard him ordering a coffee and call the barista babe. This felt like he has no regard for women potentially, or is a bit on the creepy side. I'm trying not to make it a big deal in my head, but it really bothered me. It's one thing if you walk past someone and accidentally bump into them and then say sorry or excuse me. It's another if you were intentionally touching somebody or shoving somebody. The whole thing was just strange. Check all your back pockets. Is stuff still there? And your purse. Also, make sure he didn't plant anything on you. If you responded in a really loud voice, keep your hands off of me. It might cause him to think twice before doing that to someone else. Check your pockets to make sure nothing was stolen. Also monitor your financial accounts for purchases that aren't yours. It's possible he got close to use a card skimmer to steal your card details. You should definitely report it to the store management and suggest they keep the footage if they have it. Likely a serial creeper. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.